Hi again, friends. Diane Adkins, your violin teacher here, and I'm continuing in my series for Book 2, Suzuki Violin, and today we're going to talk about Musette. Now, Musette, again, is a nice kind of tonalization piece. It's a little bit more complex than the previous piece, and when I learned and taught this piece, it started down bow, but I believe in the newer versions of the volumes they do begin this one up bow. So either one is valid. Today we'll be working starting down bow and with the bowings that were in the older version probably, but it doesn't matter. You can do a valid musical rendition with either bowing. Okay, so let's just scan this and talk about some of the things that I like to see my students accomplish when they're playing Musette. And I'm looking at the music, that's why I'm looking down here. I like to introduce the concept. First of all, let me just say, do all repeats. All through Book 2, do all repeats. Okay, just make that your habit. So I like to introduce the concept of more or less. And what that refers to is a pair of notes. The first one you give more in volume and emphasis and how much bow, and the second is less in importance. Both melodically, it's less important, and in terms of volume, your dynamics, you'll give it less. So here's an example. At the end of this very first phrase, you have... And it's on an up bow too, which makes it a little bit harder. So if we just isolate that for a second, we'll do it down bow since that's easier. Think about more, less when you play this pair. Now, as we play this piece, we're going to look for more similar, more or less pairs. But this is the beginning of playing more musically. So think about more or less as you play. The other point is on that. If I leave the less off of the melody, it still works. I'll show you what I mean. See, it's still complete musically, isn't it? So the A in that phrase, in that pair of notes, is really a kind of like a harmony, not a melody note. So you may find that to be true of all less notes in more or less pairs. So let's try to make our playing more musical by using this more less concept, and it will return in later pieces in book 2 and 3, and so if you can just kind of make that a habit and look for those at phrase endings, it will help you play more musically. Now, another thing you can do in the first line of Musette is, it's clearly marked to do this too, is as you are going up, let's see. So there's a crescendo there. I'm trying to think if that starts down or up. So come down and now you start it again. Grow. Less. Grow. Less. All right, now we're big. More, less. Then you would do your repeat, which we won't do here. So one more thing that I like to ask of my students, besides beginning to think about these more or less concepts, is at the end you have the 4-note slurs where they contain both melody and accompanying notes. You have So each time you are the one violin playing two violin parts. If we just leave out this part, you will find that the melody still makes sense musically. See, it works, doesn't it? So this should be emphasized. And that would be more musical playing if you do that. So the question is how to emphasize it. And we'll talk more about that in later videos.